You guys have heard two pros to gun control and two cons to gun control. I'm going to take a more neutral stance to gun control. So first I'm going to talk about our founding fathers and why we have gun control in the first place and our right to bear arms in the first place. Then I'm going to talk about an example of why I don't think we should ban and illegalize all guns. And then I'm going to talk about why it is important to make our gun laws stricter. And then I'm going to share a little personal story. So our founding fathers started our country based on our right to bear arms. We had an oppressive government that was taking away our rights, so we took our right to bear arms and overthrew that government. That's why it was so important to the founding fathers to have the right to bear arms in our amendments. Nowadays, do I think that we have an oppressive government and that's why we need the right to bear arms? Right now, who knows? In the future, who knows? For me personally, I would prefer to have the right to bear arms as a personal safety issue, which I'll cover later on in this section. Now let's talk a little bit about why I don't think we should legalize guns completely. And to talk about this, I think we should take a look back in the past at Prohibition and when we legalized alcohol. So when we made alcohol legal, we saw a 561% increase in the number of federal convicts. And to house all of these federal convicts that are being convicted of illegal alcohol consumption and illegal alcohol distribution and use, we saw a 1,000% increase federal spending in penal institutions. These statistics were taken from Price Economics. It's a magazine that has statistics, and it was an article published in 2013. So that's a pretty big deal, all of these convicts. So this is a quote from Jingles, the author of the article. He said, "Before Prohibition, there have been 4,000 federal convicts, fewer than 3,000 of whom who were housed in federal prisons. By 1932, the number of federal convicts had increased 561% to 26,589, and the federal prison population had increased 366%. That is insane. So if we take a look at history and we see what happens when we illegalize something that most people already have, the United States, as Shane pointed out, has the highest number of individuals owning a gun. It's going to have a lot of issues with federal convictions. So how are we going to deal with this issue then? If we're not going to make it illegal, we need to find a way to have smart restrictions. I think the current issue with our restrictions is the fact that our background checks are not being performed correctly. And this is often called the private gun loophole. So basically, according to the Gifford Law Center, the federal law currently only mandates that federally licensed sellers have to perform background checks. Private sellers do not. So if you were a criminal, would you go to a private seller where you could get a gun without a background check? Or would you go to a federal seller where you would have to get a background check? The options are pretty clear. So the private party gun market has long been seen and recognized as a leading source of guns used in crimes because people can obtain guns from private owners without any federal record of the transaction, and they basically get the gun without anyone knowing about it. So it's pretty obvious why would they choose that choice. So the proposal for this is called a universal gun background check. So that would make it so that any private gun owner would have to either perform a background check or guns could only be sold through federally licensed sellers. I think that's a pretty good compromise. Another just personal story about why I don't think we should illegalize guns and AR-15s and really any specific gun in particular is because of a personal story that happened to me. I'm going to share it with you guys. So about 6 months ago, my fiance and I were sleeping in our bedroom, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and our roommate came running up the stairs. "Someone's trying to break in! Someone's trying to break in! Someone's trying to break in!" Well, my fiance, being an 8-year veteran, active duty veteran, grabs his AR-15, which was in the closet, fully loaded, and he runs to the door. And the person was obviously high or drunk, or I don't know what they were doing, but they were still trying to break into the door. And he was banging on it and pounding on it, and my fiance told the person, I will give you 15 seconds before I open this door. I have a fully loaded assault rifle in my hand, and I will not hesitate to shoot. He counted to 15 seconds, opened the door, and saw the man climbing over our back fence. Would that story have ended the same way with or without a gun, with or without an AR? I don't know. But I can tell you how it ended. It ended with us being safe and calling the police and defending our property and our family and our roommates and our pets and all of our loved ones. It sure made me feel a lot better going to sleep that night knowing that that person knew that we had a gun in our house and that they probably wouldn't be coming back. But again, this is a very controversial issue, and as the other people in the speech have brought up, especially Shane, with the outbreak of gun violence and the issues that we have in our country right now, it's pretty obvious that we do need stricter regulations, and we do need to figure out a way to make gun violence decrease.